John 14:27 says, I am leaving you with a gift, peace of mind and heart, and the peace I give you is a gift the world cannot give. So don't be troubled or afraid. In the first episode, we talked about identifying one of your dreams. In this episode, we are going to find practical ways to start pursuing those, moving forward towards those, and I'm super excited to share these steps to get you on your way. All right, welcome back to the second episode of Get Outside today. I am outside in Guanella Pass, surrounded by the beautiful Colorado colors. Today, we are diving into the essence of effective productivity. In this episode, we are going to go over 4 points: the power of purpose, rethinking motivation, engaging with productivity, and overcoming fear and making decisions. I've learned some very practical steps and tactics that you can put into your daily life to make those dreams a reality, and so that you can start truly understanding why you are doing what you're doing. Okay, so why a podcast? In 2021, God told me to start writing, start sharing stories. And because I'm not a scholar or an author, I thought a podcast would be such a fun way to share stories and inspiration. So Get Outside today combines my love for hiking and videography, featuring my drone shots that I take before and after filming. So let's jump in. So the first segment is the power of purpose. This is inspired by Simon Sinek's TED Talk, How Great Leaders Inspire Action. And he starts with the golden circle. These are 3 circles representing what, how, and why. Starting with the what, everyone knows what they do. How? Some know how they do it, and why. Very few know why they do it. The average person starts with their what and moves towards their why, but inspired leaders communicate their purpose first, starting with their why and moving towards their what. And I challenge you to do the same. Sinek argues that people don't buy what you do, but why you do it. Inspired leaders start with their purpose. So instead of saying, here's our car, it gets great gas mileage, buy our car, you would say, do you want to be in control of your journey from the coastline to the mountains, chasing your dreams? Our car has a gas mileage to get you there, buy our car. Okay, so now that you have thought about your why, you've reversed your thinking, how do we stay motivated? The second segment is rethinking motivation. Dan Pink, in his TED Talk, The Puzzle of Motivation, challenges traditional views on motivation. There's often a mismatch between what science knows and what businesses do to motivate people. Rewards can actually limit creativity. The candle problem, for example, created in 1945 by Carl Duncker. In this experiment, there is a box of tacks, a candle, and matches. And the idea is to stick the candle up on the wall without the wax dripping down. So first you try putting the tack through the candle, pinning it up, lighting it, but then it drips down. The second, you might light the candle a little bit, stick it onto the wall, but then it still drips down. When the solution actually lies out of the box. The solution is to use the tacks to pin the box to the wall and put the candle in the box. Sam Glucksberg, a professor at Princeton University, has done many tests on incentivizing groups compared to normalizing groups. He used the candle problem with 2 groups. He incentivized one group that if you were in the top 20%, you'd win this amount of money, top 10%, this amount of money, and if you were first, you win this amount of money. And the other group, he just said, we are just testing the average time to complete this problem. Now, which group finished faster? The incentivized groups took on average 3.5 more minutes to complete the task. Our incentives are supposed to make us perform better. He did another experiment when the tacks were outside of the box, and in this experiment, the incentivized group performed much quicker. Because when the tacks are outside of the box, it's much more clear. If-then rewards work well for clear, simple destinations. But is the real world clear and simple? I feel like the real world is like the original candle problem. The tacks are inside of the box. So how does this apply to your life and to my life? Well, I believe when we follow the world's box, the world's narrative, the world's dimensions, we lose space for our own creativity and we lose our own personal journey. We start living for what people are recommending for us to do, but that's in a confined box of their own ideas and not our original ideas. Research shows that when people are incentivized by rewards, they often perform worse on complex tasks because their creativity is confined, is narrowed. So are you living your life chasing incentives, chasing more money, chasing more success, doing what other people tell you because there's some reward at the end? This narrow mindset narrows creativity and possibility for your own journey. The secret to high performance isn't rewards, but it's the drive to do things for your own sake because they matter. So how do we engage in this newfound creativity? Well, it's engaging appropriately in productivity. And that leads us to segment 3, engaging in productivity. David Allen in his TED Talk, The Art of Stress-Free Productivity, introduces the idea of having a mind like water. And let me explain. So water reacts appropriately with the things that it's engaged in, never overreacting or underreacting. How does water respond to elements? It responds appropriately. Think about when it's windy. Doesn't overreact, doesn't underreact, just reacts to how the wind is. When you throw a boulder in the water, it doesn't tense up before you throw it in, and when it splashes, it does boulder things, it reacts, but then it comes back to calm right after. It's not angry at the boulder after. Alan emphasizes the importance of clearing your mind to foster creativity. If you're constantly worried about your to-do list, you're never fully engaged. And this happens with being appropriately engaged with what's going on right now. Getting things done is not about getting things done. It's about being appropriately engaged with one thing at a time. The more that's on your mind, whatever it is, the more that's on your mind, the more it's not happening, and the more you are inappropriately engaged with it. Alan actually says, don't keep a single thing in your mind for the rest of your life. If you have things that you're working on right now or goals by the end of the week, end of the month, end of the year, write it down where you can see it on a daily basis so it's off of your mind and somewhere else. I've actually started doing this summer and it has been a game changer. I have a running list with my best friend with small things to big things, movies you want to see, meals you want to make, trips you want to take. And this helps out whenever we're trying to do something, trying to plan something, there's a running list, it's all right there. I feel like whenever I say something that I want to do, a second later, I forget, it's gone. But when I write it down, I can reference that later, and it helps eliminate stress for something simple, just trying to figure out what to do on the weekend. I've experienced that when I don't write things down, sometimes I sit around overwhelmed by all the things that I should be doing, and when I'm in that space, I feel like I either numb out and don't do anything, or I just get overly busy. And then I find myself blaming it on time. Well, guess what? All of the people at the top, all the people that you look up to, also have 24 hours in a day. The issue here is not time. How long does it take to be inspired? No time. You could have 3 hours on a Saturday and waste all of it with your mind racing by your to-do list, but 10 seconds with a clear mind for creativity, you could have an idea and change the projection of your life. If the kitchen is already a mess, then you don't have a clean kitchen to make some creative meal with your friend. When I write things down, I feel like I'm less overwhelmed and more motivated. Remember, time isn't the issue, it's how you manage your mental space that is crucial. So clarify your commitments, create a running list, clear mental space to foster creativity, and don't take one thing to the next. Don't take work home. Alan says, if you do not pay attention to what has your attention, then you will give it more attention than it deserves. So map out everything and be specific. Okay, so now that we know our why, we are motivated and we have the mental capacity, sometimes this is when fear can creep in. So let's talk about overcoming it. And that leads us to our final segment, overcoming fear and making decisions. I'm gonna draw on examples from Jim Fortin and Ralph DeBelli, and one of their concepts is understanding non-recoverable expenses. That is assessing decisions based on current value rather than past investments. If you're at a stage of life where you're thinking about making a big change, whether it's your major, a career change, moving, and you're thinking about all of the past investments that it took you to get to where you're at, whether it's money, time, relationships, ask yourself, would it matter if it was free? Would it matter if there was no expense for the change? Is it worth starting from the bottom or taking less money to be happier, to start a new direction that you have been wanting to pursue? Sometimes we get caught up in the past and we feel like if we make a change, then we have just wasted our life. We've wasted our 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever it is. But think about the present and think about the future. What are you doing now? Are you happy now? And what do you want to move towards? One of the points that has changed my life recently is that you can't hold two thoughts at once. So why hold the negative thoughts? Why hold the thoughts of the past when you can be thinking about future possibilities? Sometimes we have to remind ourselves that fear is just our brain trying to protect us from maybe a past experience that we've had or what other people have told us that you might not be able to make it. You have to start from the bottom. You're going to take less money, and that's seems like it's not always acceptable in our culture. But you have to remember that you need to believe in yourself. You need to hold the positive thoughts of possibility. You only have one life to live, so why feel like you are just chained to the past when you could have a future that you want and desire? So our key takeaways from this episode are: know your why. People don't buy what you do, but they buy why you do it. Rethink your motivation. Are you really your motivation? Or are you living for somebody or something else? Having a mind like water that's appropriately engaged with what's going on and having the mental space for creativity and possibility. And remembering that this fear is not always me. and shifting your attention towards the positives and the possibility, assessing decisions on present value rather than past investments. Now, I encourage you to reflect on your why and your current commitments. How can you enhance your leadership and your productivity today, tomorrow, this week? Okay, so we covered a lot of steps in pursuing your why, a lot of practical steps for your day-to-day life. But remember, as I mentioned in my last episode, it's 1% at a time. Just work on 1% of one of those 4 steps today, and then 1 more percent tomorrow. You're already on your way towards living that life that you want, that purpose-driven life. And remember, celebrate the 1% improvements. Don't think that it's one small step and you're not getting anywhere. 1% today is 1 more percent than you were yesterday. I want to end with a prayer that I wrote down this week. Lord, thank you. Thank you for creating us so specifically, so uniquely, and for a purpose greater than ourselves. May we never forget that we are one of one in our words, our actions, and just our presence has such power and potential to make a difference in just one person's life. To you who are listening, it's going to be okay. God knows the deepest desires of your heart. And if you just give him your heart and stop trying to do it all alone, I think you'll find something so sweet on the other side. The world needs you. I'm so thankful he created you just the way he did. Amen. Thank you for listening to episode 2. I hope you are feeling less overwhelmed about your dreams and you have some practical day-to-day steps to increase your productivity. You are so worth the 1% each and every day. And as every day, get outside today.